Okay, let's talk about the economy now. Even President Bola Tinubu agrees that, Nigerians are going through some kind of hardship, of course, caused by what the government says are necessary reforms. And the president just inaugurated the Presidential Economic Coordination Council and also rolled out measures to strengthen the economy. We have seen the president talking about the need to collaborate more with the private sector, with focus on, the power sector, ensuring that the country ramps up crude oil production, food security, health, social welfare, and all of that. But what's the timeline? How soon will Nigerians also really feel the impact of these new measures that have been rolled out?
Thank you very much. So I think I want to, first of all, predicate what you've just referred to on the baseline fact that this is a continuation and an escalation of economic bailouts that the president has already been implementing. So, for example, right now, on the macroeconomic reform side of it, Nigerians are seeing now really for the first time in the last several years, in recent memory certainly, where you have a total unification of the exchange rates. I mean, we've been working toward this thing for over a year now, and now Nigerians are seeing that it's done and that the exchange rate is stable and that we've paid off, for example, all of the $7 billion plus in foreign exchange debt obligations that we had to various entities that we were owing. So we have a totally different picture based on the hard work that has been done by this president and this administration. With that said, when you talk about timelines, what should Nigerians expect? I think we should just go into that very quickly. As you rightly alluded to, His Excellency Mr. President did, inaugurate the Presidential Economic Coordination Council, essentially mandated to create a total union between public sector economic managers in the country at all levels, and also ensuring that you have the private sector at the highest levels engaged directly in a sustainable and consistent format, where you have the private sector informing policy design and implementation hand in hand with the public sector. It's something that Nigerians have long sought for. It's something the president has now put in place with giants such as Alhaji Aliko Dangote and of course Mr. Tony Elumelu. But in addition to that, the president has also factored in the power of the people, right? The power of the Nigerian worker, by making sure that we get those critical unions at the table and critical, associations at the table. So you have, for example, the Director General of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, who's a part of that committee, and many, many others. The point here is that nobody has a monopoly on knowledge or wisdom. This president is humble. He understands that, and he's ready to tap into the best brains the country has to offer, irrespective of their political affiliations, irrespective of what part of the country they come from, or irrespective of what God they worship, in order to get the Nigerian economy to where we all want it to be. Now, with that said, as he inaugurated that committee, that council, what he also did was he announced the 2 trillion naira economic stabilization package, right, which involves multiple sectors of impact, and he put timelines on them, as you somewhat alluded to. So, for example, in the energy subset of the economic stabilization package, the president has clearly mandated the council to ensure that we move on-grid electric power generation from the current 4,500 megawatts in terms of its consistent level to a minimum of 6,000 megawatts. That's an addition of 1,500 megawatts over the course of the next 6 months. That is the mandate that he has given to that council, and he has reason to believe that that is going to be fully executed, and effectively so. On the oil and gas side of it, His Excellency Mr. President mandated the council as part of that package with funding attached and projects attached to this mandate to ensure that we take oil production from the current kind of equivocation between 1.4 million and 1.6 million barrels per day to a minimum of 2 million barrels per day over the course of the next 12 months. So on-grid electric power supply, 4,000 megawatts to 6,000 megawatts over the next 6 months, but then oil production from the equivocated band of 1.4 to 1.6 to over 2 million barrels per day within the next 12 months. Then, in addition to that, the president said, look, we have to deal with the real sector. We also have to deal with those labor-intensive sectors that will create opportunities and employment for our people while dealing aggressively with food inflation. So he's also given the mandate, again, attached with the available finance. It's already set and ready, as well as the specific projects that will get us to this point. But he's given the mandate to the council to ensure that in agriculture and food production and food security, that we move from approximately 127 million metric tons of food production in the country amongst small shareholder farmers to 135 million metric tons of food production by the end of this year. That's going to be a combination of factors, right? That's going to have to do with putting in place higher quality, high yield seedlings, the provision of that across the country to our farmers. It's also going to ensure that we aggressively deal with this issue of agricultural mechanization, making sure that we have tractors and other mechanical equipments coming into the country and being spread equitably across not just our food belts, but across all states of the Federation, where our smallholder farmers are dealing in mostly antiquated farming practices that limit your yield potential, but then also dealing with, ensuring that we deal with the power issue related to food production and ultimately food distribution and food sales in the country. Right now, we're losing up to 40% of all of our farmers' hard-earned yields because we don't have the kind of rural electrification to ensure that we have refrigeration capabilities, for example, so that foods will be, maintained from the point that they're produced to the point where we can effectively transport them to markets without them spoiling. These are all part of what is inside of the National Stabilization Package, and even in the health subset of the National Stabilization Package. You also have about 5,000 primary health care centers across all states and local governments of the Federation that will now be connected to 24 hours of light through off-grid solar connections, right? So that's going to be done within the next 12 months as well. So there is a multi-sectoral, really robust approach to the economic bailout that's going to be implemented over the course of the next 12 months. And by the way, all of what I've mentioned, within another subset of that, you have the MSME bailout, where we have $650 billion within the economic sustainability stabilization package, going to over 2 million micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises across all local government areas of the Federation. That is direct intervention, and that's not including single-digit interest rate loans into the billions of naira to large-scale manufacturers across all states of the Federation. The last point I want to make, Femi, is the entire national stabilization, economic stabilization package I've just laid out does not include what the president announced just within the last 2 weeks, which is the National Construction and Household Support Program, which is dealing with the direct uplift grant provision. Grant, not loan. This is money we will give out and that we will not have to pay it back, of 50,000 naira per Nigerian family for 100,000 families across all 36 states, in each of the 36 states of the Federation, not to talk of the railways that will be built with the Ibadan to Abuja rail segment, as well as the Lagos to Calabar expressway.
Actually, some people have talked about the need to balance economic development with environmental sustainability and social responsibility.
Right.
You are also the special envoy to the president, or the special envoy on climate change.
Right.
Now, help us understand these against the backdrop of that new appointment you have, how the government intends to balance economic development with environmental sustainability and social responsibility.
It's a very important issue, and this is the message that I've been taking to our partners, not just at home, but all across the globe in recent weeks at the highest level, is that President Bola Tinubu is not just dealing with climate change for the sake of, joining a crowd or being cool at COP. He's doing this because he believes that it is a very critical element to his economic restoration revolution in the country, employing people and creating an inclusive economy where every Nigerian will have the dignity of a job, will have the dignity of steady income in a way that ultimately advances our environment protection goals. So, for example, right now I'm in negotiations with the Nigeria Governors Forum to ensure that each state of the Federation will bring together a quota of young people, a minimum number from each state of young people who will be involved in a mass tree planting exercise across all states of the Federation, across all local government areas of the Federation, but not just planting trees to be seen to be planting trees. These are trees that are what we call economic trees, right? producing certain food products that can be resold, that can provide, that can, kind of eradicate poverty and provide sustainable incomes for the communities in which they'll be planted. In addition, we're not just planting trees willy-nilly, as has been the case in the past. We are aligning our tree planting strategy in conformity with urban and rural layout planning with the state and local governments to ensure that they abide by the city codes and the building, areas of the various states in the rural and urban settings. In addition to that, so that deals with jobs, that deals with income, that deals with sustainable economic development with respect to the planting of economic trees. And we're talking about over 100 million trees, right? And that's within the next 12 months. Then the next point I want to make is right now we had a very important conversation with the former U.S. Special Presidential Envoy John Kerry in Italy, in which he expressed his excitement about President Bola Tinubu's establishment of Nigeria's first green industrial zone and his willingness to come in with a consortia of renewable energy tech manufacturers from the West, from the United States in particular, to build, for example, geothermal power stations and the component parts ultimately that form them, creating jobs and creating wealth for our people. There's really a lot that's going on.
We're out of time, but in 30 seconds, there have been pockets of insecurity, and Nigerians are concerned that this is beginning to roll back the achievement or successes recorded in the fight against insecurity. How is the president concerned and tackling all of these? In 30 seconds, please. We need to wrap up.
Yes, absolutely. So I think Nigerians are well aware of kind of where we were when he took office and where we are now. Everyone knows there's been a lot of progress, but the truth is that all is not yet uhuru and there's still work to be done. But I think if you look at the Northeast where some of these circumstances had come out, that this is a direct result of the immense pressure that we're putting on these terrorist elements. Their leaders have been taken off the field. They're eradicated. They're in the history books now. So for us now, we're going to continue to put that pressure until it's fully gone. But clearly, these kind of desperate hit-and-run attacks that we haven't seen in a number of years are as a result of the pressure we're putting on them, and we will continue until it's over.
All right, thank you so much, Chief Ajuri Ngilali, Special Advisor to President Bola Tinubu on Media and Public Affairs. Well, that's all on our program today. Thank you very much for watching. You can watch this episode again on TVC News YouTube channel. Also watch a repeat at 11 p.m. today. Thank you for watching. I am Femi Akonde.